You're watching PJTV. I'm Steve Green. This is your Coast to Coast Tea Party, where we love the long shots. Last week, we were in the Windy City to talk to Joel Pollack, playing retail politics to unseat one of the most liberal members of the House, and now that's saying something. This week, back to the West Coast for our first trip to California and the 28th District, where Republican newcomer Merlin Froyd is taking on entrenched Democratic incumbent Howard Berman. Mr. Froyd, welcome to Coast to Coast.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Green. I appreciate it. How are you today?
Oh, well, thank you. Just wouldn't have missed this. Thanks for coming on the show. But I have to say, I never expected to find a Republican running from North Hollywood. That'd be like finding a movie star shopping the dollar store. What happened to get you to do this?
Well, I run part of a business in North Hollywood, and I saw a couple years ago a lot of my clients and a lot of my vendors really kind of pack up and leave the state, and some even left the country. I have a lot of connections to the film industry, and I've seen runaway productions go to Canada, Mexico, and of course different states. And I said, you know what, I can sit back and complain about the situation, or I can actually do something about it. And I decided to run for office, and I know in my district there's a lot of people that when they hear Republican, they immediately reach for their pepper spray, but we've had some pretty good results.
Well, you know, I was doing my research this morning, and I caught your ad, and it might be my favorite political ad this year. Well, at least one that didn't involve a demon sheep. Let's show this to everybody.
All right.
The year is 1983. A gallon of gas costs $1.20. A cell phone weighs 18 pounds. Apple debuts their first computer. The Dow Jones closes above 1100 for the first time. The founders of Facebook aren't even born yet. The station wagon is the #1 family car in America. The year is 1983, and Howard Berman begins his first term in Congress. Don't you think it's time for a change? That's why I need your vote.
I feel so old, I remember all of those things. But one thing your ad didn't mention, but this Berman guy was elected to Congress for the first time about the same time you were born. I mean, we're talking about the exact opposite of a citizen candidate.
He began his term in 1983, and I was born in 1983. And I think never before, I mean, has there ever been a time and a possibility that we need different representation, and it's time for him to go. I think it's really sad. You know, our job, and especially in the House of Representatives, it is to represent the people in our district. And frankly, when you've been there for 28 years, to see what little he's done in office, he is not representing the people of the district anymore. But whether you're Republican, Democratic, Green Party, or Independent, it's definitely time for a little bit more active representation. And I would be absolutely thrilled and honored, to tell you the truth, to represent my district and my valley.
Yeah, you know, I look at his positions against a balanced budget. He's turned his back on free trade, which he was for at one point. He's for farm subsidies, Obamacare, the stimulus, all of it. Where are you on these kind of core Tea Party issues?
Well, in regards to the core Tea Party issues, the truth of the matter is, listen, why am I a Republican? I get asked that a lot in the district. It's because I believe the government needs to get out of my personal life. They need to be small. Our government's supposed to be for infrastructure and for security. So when these situations like Obamacare get passed, or even these stimulus spending, I mean, in my district alone, the stimulus package has spent $39,775,000 in my district, and it's resulted in 58 jobs. This is a perfect example where the federal government not only spends a lot of money, they do something poorly, and then they want to raise taxes to to pay for it. So in regards to that, I am very core belief that federal government needs to get smaller, needs to reduce in size, and obviously stop spending so much money, because that's not getting the results we want or we need.
I'm sensing I might be talking to a fellow kind of small L libertarian here. That's a welcome change to see, I got to tell you.
Well, I would say libertarian. I'm not a firm believer that we have to get out of the world scale politics. I do believe we have to maintain our positions within the world in regards to foreign policy. But in regards to government, yes, you could easily say that I have libertarian leaning.
That's great. You know, I was looking at District 28, and everybody knows, of course, it's not exactly GOP friendly. But what about Tea Party activism? Do you see signs of hope there?
Tea Party activism in District 28 is very small right now. I would say the biggest Tea Party movement is in actually Pasadena, which is a couple of miles to the east of me. In my district, it is still very much registered Democrat, and there is not a big Tea Party movement. I'll actually be speaking at a Tea Party event that's coming up in Beverly Hills, actually on September 26th. They've shut down part of Santa Monica Boulevard, and it will probably be the biggest Tea Party movement or event that's happened on the West Coast.
Well, we'll try and get some publicity for that then. But I guess the big question is, how do you take on the entrenched Hollywood establishment and win?
Well, I think the truth of the matter is, again, with the Hollywood establishment, they've seen their jobs leave. They've seen that it's very hard to do productions in the state because, frankly, it's not a business-friendly area. So the main thing, we started off very early in January. We said, you know what, we're going to start knocking on doors. And we've knocked on doors of, like I said before, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, etc. Just knocking on the doors and really saying, hi, I'm running for this office, and I very much want to represent you. And what do you think my #1 focus in Washington should be? And the truth is, right now, everybody, I would say 98% of the people that I've talked to have said economy, jobs, I want the business back. I want this area to be business friendly. I want manufacturing. A couple weeks ago, I spoke with a woman who had 3 kids living at home. Each kid graduated college. Each kid was very educated. Each kid was over the age of 40. This is not acceptable anymore to find that we are, you know, the weather is not alone to keep jobs here in California. We have to make policies that keep them here in the state as well as, obviously, in the nation. And that would be my goal in the federal government, is to make the United States competitive with India as well as China and the other developed nations.
Oh, yeah, California's been hurting. And, you know, I was going over Berman's bio, and it turns out he's a friend of Henry Waxman's, which right there, that ought to be worth a money bump for you. What can people do? Where can they go to help out your campaign?
I would love them to visit www.merlinfroyd.com. And there they can contribute, they can sign up to volunteer, they can make phone calls, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, to talk to you about that Waxman, Howard Berman is part of the Waxman-Berman Coalition. In the LA Times, if you go to latimes.com, you can actually research an article that was written in 1985 warning everybody, the Republicans and the Democrats, of this progressive coalition between Waxman and Howard Berman. So yes, he is a threat to our nation. He's done some very questionable decisions on policies, and I would be very happy to take him out this November and bring some conservative values to Washington.
You know, I didn't have this question written down, but after talking to you, I have to ask, you're young, you've got a good job, you're in LA, you should be out having fun. What got you to do this crazy thing and get into politics?
Well, there is literally no excuse grand enough to eclipse the responsibility we each have to serve our nation at this time. And I look at my generation, and my generation was taught how to spend and how to write a check before they were ever taught how to balance anything. And unless we really take action right now, things are just going to get worse. The Republican Party needs a new voice, and I'm running to be that new voice to bring back small government and accountability. I got involved because, frankly, if I don't get involved, I don't see anybody else stepping up to the plate right now. So it's my duty to serve my friends and my family.
That's an answer I bet our audience just love to hear. You know, we're all out of time, but it's been a real pleasure having you here today. And again, thanks for joining us, and best of luck in November.
Well, thank you very much, and you have a wonderful staff here in Los Angeles. I hope you can come out and visit. If you do come out and visit, I'm going to take you to Disneyland, and we're going to go get an In-N-Out burger, okay?
That sounds exciting. That's a deal. I can't wait to see the crew again and to meet you in person. That'll be a blast.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much. Folks, that was Merlin Froyd, a GOP candidate for Congress in California's crazy 28th District. You can find out more at merlinfroyd.com. I think I'm going to go to YouTube and watch that ad again. That was good stuff. And that was your Coast to Coast Tea Party for this week. Stay tuned. We might bring the next party to your area. Thanks for clicking in, and for PJTV, I'm Steve Green.